Imagine this. Two really successful businesses working under one name, but their different ways of doing things are actually causing problems for each other.
Yeah, like they're building in opposite directions.
Exactly. What happens when splitting them up is maybe the best move for everyone involved.
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes necessary.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into a story just like that. It's about how Connected Socal became Catalyst Cannabis Co.
And it's way more than just, swapping out a logo.
Right. It's about figuring out who they really were, defining those identities, and actually kind of strengthening the partnership by separating.
It's a fascinating case study in strategy.
Our source for this is excerpts from Catalyst Cannabis Rebrands from Connected Socal from Nug Notes. It gives a really clear view of the thinking behind this split.
Yeah, lays out the strategic decisions quite well.
So our mission here is to understand how these clashing business models can push companies towards these big decisions.
And how sometimes even a tough decision can lead to, well, surprising clarity and success.
It's more than just a business story, really. It's about strategic alignment, clear communication, owning who you are.
Absolutely. Authenticity matters.
Okay, so let's unpack this whole thing.
Let's do it.
To really get what happened, we need to go back to the beginning, the structure.
The foundation, yeah.
So there was Southcorp Holdings. That's the parent company of what became Catalyst, run by Elliot Lewis. They were operating their stores using the Connected name.
Right. Everyone saw the Connected sign.
But, and this is the crucial part, Southcorp never actually owned the Connected name.
Ah, okay. That's key.
They were just licensing it from Connected California International. You probably know them, the big Northern California grower, famous for that high-end flower.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Premium stuff. So Southcorp was essentially borrowing the brand identity for their retail shops.
Exactly. A borrowed identity right from the get-go, not fully integrated.
And that licensing setup, it's not just legalese. It really sets the stage for everything else. Well, because it means there was always this underlying separation, between the retail side, Southcorp, and the cultivation side, Connected International. Different businesses, different ownership structures, just sharing a name.
Okay, I see.
So when things started getting tense later on, splitting up wasn't just like a crazy idea. It was actually structurally feasible because they weren't one single entity to begin with.
Right, that makes sense. But still, building up your stores, your customer base, under a name that isn't really yours.
Yeah, imagine that. You're pouring everything into building this presence.
But the name on the door belongs to someone else. What kind of background tensions does that create, even if things look good on the surface?
Well, the big one is control, right? You don't fully control your own story, your own brand narrative. Southcorp is building retail, but its reputation is tied to Connected International's reputation.
And vice versa, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What one does affects the other. Maybe Connected International makes a move that doesn't quite fit the retail vibe Southcorp is building. Or, as we'll see, the other way around.
It creates confusion.
Definitely confusion.
Right.
Who is Connected?
Okay.
Is it the fancy flower grower or the aggressive retailer? The source material really points to this blurriness becoming a problem.
Yeah.
Actions by one were hurting the other.
Okay, so that lack of control, that borrowed identity, it fed right into the next big issue. Totally different ways of doing business.
Oh, yeah, night and day, really.
This is where it's really interesting. You had Connected International, the original brand owner. Their whole game was high-end wholesale flower. They call it designer weed.
Right. Quality, exclusivity, craft cultivation. That was their focus, like a boutique.
Then you had Southcorp, soon to be Catalyst. Their approach, completely different. The source calls it an aggressive retail approach.
Aggressive is putting it mildly, maybe.
They were fighting tooth and nail for licenses in different cities. Very competitive. Not about craft flower, more about market share, getting weed to the people.
And their tactics reflected that, didn't they?
Totally. Aggressive pricing, using these code specialists.
Which are basically like zoning and permit experts, right? People who know the local rules inside out to get approvals.
Exactly. Challenging competitors' licenses, their backgrounds, even lawsuits. It was very scrappy, very disruptive.
Yeah, a hard-charging style, as the source puts it. And that style, while it worked for winning retail spots for Southcorp,
it had side effects.
Big time. It really ruffled feathers with other retailers. Badly.
Okay, so how did that play out? Why did other retailers care so much?
Well, think about it. You're maybe another dispensary owner.
Yeah.
You value relationships. Maybe you even want to stock that premium Connected flower.
Right.
But then the retail guys associated with that same Connected brand are like fighting your license application in the next town over, or undercutting prices dramatically.
Ah, okay. So it felt like they were being attacked by the same brand.
Precisely. The source suggests it created this really toxic environment, like a poisoned well, so much so that some retailers apparently just refused to stock Connected International's flower.
Wow. So Southcorp's retail tactics were directly hurting Connected International's ability to sell their wholesale product.
Exactly. Lost shelf space. A direct hit to the cultivation business, all because of the actions of the retail arm operating under the same name. It shows how misalignment can just sabotage things.
That's incredible. How can two parts of what looks like one brand end up being like their own worst enemies?
Because their core strategies were just fundamentally opposed, right?
One's trying to be Gucci, the other's trying to be, I don't know, Target, but both are called Connected.
That's a good analogy, yeah. Connected International needed that elite, high-quality perception. Southcorp Catalyst was about being accessible, volume-driven, maybe even a bit confrontational.
Those messages just don't mix.
They really don't. It confuses customers, and as we saw, it alienates potential partners, like other retailers. The source is pretty clear. It just wasn't sustainable. Something had to give.
Which brings us to this pivotal moment, a phone call. Apparently a very, very blunt phone call.
The moment of truth, you can say.
So, Caleb and Luke, the owners of Connected International, they call up Elliot Lewis at Southcorp.
Okay.
And they don't mince words. The source quotes them directly. Everybody hates your guys' guts out there. It's killing our flower sales.
Wow. Just straight up. No sugarcoating.
None at all. Just boom. That's the message.
You know, that kind of raw honesty, it's pretty rare in business, especially when things are tense.
It really is.
But how crucial is that kind of direct feedback, even when it's super uncomfortable?
You mean for actually solving problems?
Yeah, because that call wasn't just complaining. It was like laying the problem bare, no more pretending. And apparently both sides saw it.
They recognize the issue.
It seems so. They acknowledged the confusion, the damage it was doing, and critically, they agreed it was time to stop sending these mixed signals to the market.
So that difficult conversation was actually the spark.
Absolutely.
Right.
It ignited the whole thing. It really says something about the leadership, that they could have that tough talk and decide to move forward together, even if it meant separating the brands.
Yeah, it's easy to imagine that going sideways, right? Defensiveness,
Oh, boy.
humans.
For sure. Ego can get in the way. Fear of rocking the boat.
Yeah.
But here, it seems like there was a level of self-awareness and maybe mutual respect.
Connected saw their brand was being hurt. Southcorp saw their partner was being hurt.
And they decided fixing it was more important than, who was right or wrong.
Yeah.
They prioritized the health of both operations. That's smart, long-term thinking.
So, okay, the decision is made. Stop confusing the market. What happens next? How do the identities change?
Well, this is where they really leaned into who they each were. Two very distinct identities emerged.
First, Catalyst Cannabis Co. is born.
Right. And they didn't shy away from that scrappy image. They embraced it.
Their whole vibe became blue-collar, weed to the people. Very upfront about it.
Yeah, the source mentions things like no big salaries, no luxury image. They even highlighted being pro-labor.
So they just own that retail disruptor identity they'd basically been living anyway.
Exactly. But now, under their own name, Catalyst, they could build that narrative authentically without stepping on Connected's toes.
Okay, so what about Connected International?
They went back to their roots, pure focus on that high-end wholesale flower.
Shedding the bad boy baggage, as the source calls it.
Precisely. They could reinforce their image as the elite cultivators. Double down on quality, premium positioning. It was like cleaning the slate.
Refining their message.
Totally. It was a conscious choice to specialize and communicate exactly what they stood for without any conflicting retail noise.
So this wasn't just slapping new paint on the stores, it was deeper.
Much deeper. It was strategic self-definition. It allowed both of them to project, a cleaner, truer identity that actually matched what they did and what they valued.
Connected could focus on cultivation excellence and rebuilding retailer trust.
And Catalyst could be the unapologetic consumer champion, the disruptor, without worrying about tarnishing a premium brand image that wasn't really theirs anyway.
The authenticity just shot up for both, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They weren't just different. They were clearly, proudly different.
Yeah.
And the market could finally understand who was who.
It really hammers home how vital that authentic brand identity is, for long-term success.
Definitely.
Trying to be something you're not, or worse, trying to be two conflicting things at once. This story shows the power of just leaning into your true identity.
It's all about strategic clarity. When your actions, your message, your style all align. That's powerful. It resonates much more strongly with the people you're trying to reach.
Connected tells its story. Catalyst tells its story. Both stronger because they're separate and clear.
Right. The separation wasn't weakness. It was actually a sign of strategic maturity, understanding their place in the market.
Okay, so the big question, did it work? What actually happened after the split? Did sales tank? Did they become enemies?
Well, this is the really interesting part. The results were surprisingly positive.
Okay.
First off, for Catalyst, sales remained steady. Customers stuck with the stores.
So loyalty was to the store experience, not just the connected name.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
Which is a huge validation for their retail operation itself.
Yeah.
People like the Catalyst experience, whatever it was called.
That's huge. What about the relationship between the two companies? Awkward.
Apparently not. The source says they stayed friendly. It wasn't a messy divorce. It was a strategic choice.
Wow. Okay.
And get this. They kept working together. Catalyst still stocks Connected Flower. It's on their top shelf.
Really? So the supply chain partnership continued?
Yep, mutually beneficial. Catalyst gets premium flower. Connected gets a reliable retail outlet.
Any other ties?
Just a small one. Southcorp, Catalyst's parent company, kept a small equity stake in Connected International, like 2%. Just enough to keep a little skin in the game, maybe. A sign of goodwill.
So when you put it all together...
It really looks like a win-win, which, let's be honest, is rare in these kinds of business splits.
Yeah, usually someone feels like they lost out.
But here, both brands seem to be thriving with their own clear, strong identities. Connected, the elite grower. Catalyst, the people's retailer.
And they managed to keep the valuable parts of their old relationship, the supply link, the financial tie intact.
Exactly. They found a way to be stronger apart by defining themselves clearly, but still connected where it counts. It shows you can collaborate effectively sometimes by setting clear boundaries first.
It's such a great example of how a strategic breakup doesn't have to be an end. It can be a new beginning.
A better beginning, perhaps, leading to a stronger, more defined relationship than they had before.
Because they had clarity.
That's the key takeaway from this Nugnote source, I think. That clarity, gained through strategic separation, unlocked authenticity and efficiency they just couldn't achieve together under one confusing banner.
So we've just walked through this really fascinating story, how clashing strategies and one very direct conversation led Connected International and Catalyst Cannabis Co. to redefine themselves.
A powerful realignment of identities.
And it actually strengthened their partnership in a new way.
Yeah, by giving each other space to be authentic.
It really does make you think, doesn't it? How often do businesses, or hey, even us as individuals, try to be everything to everyone?
All the time. We delude ourselves, maybe confuse people about what we really stand for.
This deep dive really shows the strength, the clarity, the success you can find by truly owning who you are, your specific, authentic identity, even if it means letting go of something you thought you were.
Even if it's uncomfortable at first.
So the question to maybe leave you with is, what part of your own work, your own operation, maybe even your personal brand, could benefit from that kind of honest assessment, a deep dive into its true identity?
Could a strategic realignment, maybe letting go of something, actually unlock more potential? Something to think about.